你看到的不是一件艺术品。大家好，我是杰罗姆。本期带来北美知名飞钓内容平台与实体飞钓店 Fly Fish Food 的油膜摇蚊绑制教学。演示者 Curtis Fry 既是 Fly Fish Food 的联合创始人之一，也是长期从事实钓与教学的职业绑钩者。油膜摇蚊诞生于多年摇蚊季的实钓经验，围绕摇蚊蛹上浮水层时的体态与光泽展开设计，用于真实水层中的有效呈现。
I'm going to tie one of my favorite buzzer patterns. And so this is called the oil slick buzzer. It was developed over the course of probably 2 years, just in and out of buzzer season. And primarily it's fished as a pupa pattern. So as your buzzer hatches progress in the day from the bottom to the top, this is a upper end of the water column sort of pattern. And the reason I tie it like this is because it gives an incredible amount of dimension to the fly, which I think is important because the natural insects do have dimension. Buzzer pupa have an incredible amount of dimension and opacity and kind of varying. It's just got, it's obviously a bug. So that's what we want to do here. So we're going to start off with one of my favorite hooks, probably my favorite hook for buzzers, and that's the Grub Boss fulling mill. And in this one, we've got a size 12. Obviously, you would want to size this to your liking. And then we have a fulling mill countersunk bead in size 2.8. And so I will mention this is a slightly slimmed down, let's call it production version of the pattern here. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. And I've got my brand spanking new fulling mill 70 denier, whatever, thread, which is the cat's meow. If you've not used this thread, it is phenomenal. So it's nice. It can lay flat. It cords well. Very high breaking strength. I've not ever broken it. And so I'm going to attach the thread. Now I'm going to grab some red wire, and the way the wire is going to be kind of not a traditional, like if you've looked at, say, a zebra midge or something like that. The wire here is going to go on the inside of our body, which again creates some of that. That creates some of the dimension and kind of a different look to it. And so I'll just attach this here at the thorax, and then to create a little bit of that taper, just going to work my way back down over the body and around halfway down the bend of the hook, thereabouts. And then what I'll do is I'm going to kick this wire off to the far side so that it stays out of my way for the next thing, which is some Mirage tinsel. And this is really what kind of, for me, got this pattern really, I think took it over the top, because this Mirage tinsel has the sheen of oil on water, which is why I call it that. But more than that, the sheen that represents the gaseous stuff that's inside of those pupa, those buzzer pupa, as they ascend the water column and make their way up. And so we'll have wire underneath, and then this Mirage tinsel over the top, and it shows up really well in the water. It's realistic looking if you compare it to a normal pupa as they ascend. Anyway, so like I said, we're going to start with the wire first, and that's why I put that on the other side. And then I'm just going to do 4 or 5 turns, and then just kind of adjust that. The naturals don't have like 10 turns like you'll see on, say, a zebra midge, which is related. A zebra midge is essentially a buzzer. And then I'm going to come right up to behind the bead. And then as I tie off this wire, I'll do a couple of wraps in front and behind. That locks it in. And then once I've done that, what you can do is you can just kick that wire to the side. And if you do that at a sharp angle, then your helicopter will come off relatively easy. And we can tie that off there. Now, so we've got our body, underbody, let's call it. And now I'm going to grab my tinsel, and I just want to make sure the first couple of wraps are fairly snug, because I want that to suck down over the wire. And the more you want the red, or you can use black underwire if you want with the red thread. That's kind of where it's more of a style. But I'm going to create that, again, a 3D kind of dimensional effect by pulling on that tinsel and that just sucks down onto that wire and it gives it those nice ridges and creates more of a natural looking segmentation. And then we'll just come in here and cut that. And then just to be clean, we'll come and clean up that little tag end. Okay. Now, if we were tying this for the standard version, the one I do, I'll actually do 3 pieces of tinsel, 2 orange pieces on the side and a piece of blue on the top. What I would say is if you do want to have, the orange essentially acts as the wing buds, and it is more of a strike kind of inducer. On these simple ones, I found I'll tie them because I can tie them fast. But also, I'd say in most cases, the orange may not be super needed. If you did want to, you could just tie off orange thread right here, or you can do the way we've done the previous ones, which sucks that tinsel up and over the top and the sides of the bead. But I'm not going to do that here because we're going to do a little variation for you. And so I'm going to whip finish. That's just a 3 wrap whip finish because I like living on the edge. But also we're going to epoxy or UV finish the heck out of this thing, and so that whip finish is going to be super strong. So what we've got here, and this is this is my secret weapon on this pattern. This is the UV clear fluorescing fly finish, and the reason I mention this because I have fished this pattern with this finish and with a different one, and the one without did not fish as well as this one. Side by side, same fish, same water, same time. So I'm sold, and that's happened a number of times. Why? Well, because it's got UV in it, and we all know that must catch more fish. But seriously, I do think that there is something in the way the fish perceive after it's on this. And I'm not drowning it. In fact, I don't want to drown it. And if I do get any excess on there, one of the things I'll do is just kind of tap that and kind of even it out. And then I've got a little extra there, so I'll just take my finger and go yoink right on the top of that, and that just gets a little of the excess off. And then for this first round, we'll hit it with the light, and that's going to set the body. And again, this creates a little bit more dimension to the fly. So we've got wire, tinsel, now some epoxy, some UV resin, and then we're going to do one more. And this is one where I would normally, like I said, do the blue tinsel over the top for that little bit of a wing case. But instead, I'm just going to put some of this UV on top of the bead and then right in behind it. And that's going to create, again, if we're thinking the fish see this UV coating as something different than the color or whatever, this will create a little bit more contrast. So we've got some of that coating on the top of the bead, but none on the sides. And so that, whether it's contrast or, I don't know, it does work. And then again, like I said, this is the simplest variation. There are variations where I'll do a white bead, because if you want to simulate breathers in this easy format, you can do that. You can also tie in some breathers off of the front before you even put the bead on. A lot of times that white will induce a strike. And then, so this is more of a style. You can incorporate this style into any of the fly patterns that you tie, especially for buzzers. But it is, again, one of my most effective buzzer or chironomid pattern. I would highly suggest giving it a try. It's got a super strong, sharp hook, and it attracts the fish, and you should catch something with it.